All right, the jingle has sounded. The gentlemen are in their seats. JV Wins Dogon SS. We are back with another video on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody tuning in, joining us, hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, leaving those comments, engaging with the content and the videos. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to rock and roll. Want to, of course, kick things off as always by saying you can also check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We are available in all of those spaces as well. So if you aren't in position to check us out on YouTube or watch any of the videos, we know how it is if you at the desk at work. Manager and the boss roll around, they see you watching the video, they think you're not working or being productive. Trust me, I know how it is, man. We all got to fake the funk when we doing this 9 to 5 BS. So if you are in that position, but you love checking out Conscious Approach, man, just check out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can hit us up on an audio version so that you don't give the illusion that you're not being productive just because you like to play a little video in the background while you're getting your work done. Otherwise, major shouts out to everybody who has been supporting this logical content as we continue to organically grow this community. We appreciate any and everyone who has engaged with the commentary and the content. Without you, this wouldn't be possible because we do it for the love of the game. We do it off the muscle. And we have noticed a consistent string of people who contribute to the growth of this community. And it does not go unnoticed. So from us to you, we certainly appreciate it, man. We could have stopped doing this a long time ago. Trust. Money is not a motivation. Fame, clout are not motivations. We just like giving opinions and takes on stuff and seeing what everyone else has to say about it. Even if you don't agree with what we have to say, we welcome the engagement because we're not trying to, this is not a cult. We're not trying to have a community of people who agree or think like us. We just want to exchange information and encourage diversity of thought. So, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. First thing that we are going to talk about today is friend of the channel in more ways than one, LeBron. We routinely broach LeBron on this channel for obvious reasons. Not the biggest fan of the guy personally. If you like LeBron, I feel sorry for you. But LeBron, was trending last week because he went on Pat McAfee on ESPN. He was flamethrowing everywhere. He discussed his orchestrated, rehearsed spat with Stephen A. Smith at the Lakers game and went into deeper detail on how he feels about Stephen A. Smith and where he was coming from. But then he also did weird things like take subtle shots at people I thought he was cool with, like Brian Windhorst. He also took an opportunity to add context to how he feels about some of the early things that went on in his career. In particular, his first stint in Cleveland, when he was the linchpin on the team, and he was on teams that won a lot of games and did a lot of winning and advanced far and went to the finals. And there was an interesting part during that particular part of the interview with Pat McAfee that I did want to bring up here on the channel today. I can't wait to hear what Dogon has to say about this particular thing. So at one point, everyone's, the GOAT, King James, LeBron, he expounded on how he feels about some of those earlier Cleveland teams and how he feels as though it's even crazy that some of those teams made it to the finals. And a lot of people, myself included, are interpreting this as LeBron jumping on that, how did I make this happen when I didn't have any help train? So let's go ahead and play this sound from the Pat McAfee interview from last week, and then we'll go into how we feel about what Mr. James had to say here.
Listen, man, during the ball drop, during the lottery drop, Cleveland got the number one pick. I just don't think that was.
What are you
coincidence?
Don't you think?
Wemby with the Spurs.
Oh my God! Let's keep LeBron home. You know what? Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. You know, Derrick Rose to the Bulls. I understand the assignment, guys. I had to make sure that, I had to do my part. I didn't want to be a fuck up. I just didn't want to be a fuck up, man. Like I said earlier, Wine was able to take the team. I was 22 years old. I had a moment in Detroit where I went insane, 25 straight, 29 out of 30, and took a team that you look back at our roster, you're like, what the hell? How was that even possible?
There's a lot of those, brother. We don't want to dive into all of them. You were in the finals 45 straight years.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it got to the point that final season, I was like, I've maximized this potential.
Yeah.
I've squeezed all the juice out of this damn lemon here. And I know it. And in order for me to get to where I want to get to, I have to make a choice for my career going forward. And Miami was the best choice, at that moment. I felt like it was the best choice for me. The conversation I had with D Wade, had with Bosh, had with Udonis Haslam, D Wade and UD had been there. They had 1-1, had beat Dallas. They had been in some big playoff matchups with Detroit, where Detroit beat them and then they beat Detroit, and things of that nature. And then you look at the big four that Boston had. Everybody talk about the big three, but everybody always decides that for some odd reason that Rondo wasn't as great as Rondo was.
Yeah,
it's always just the big three.
He's from Boston.
Not me.
LeBron
always say
they say the big three, but fucking Rondo was when he was a dog. He brought it all. He made it all work with those guys.
All right, that's enough. You get the idea.
What's going on with this?
So yeah, he said he feels like he maximized everything he could. And I don't know how you interpreted that, but it kind of seemed to me as though he was low-key saying, the NBA wanted me in Cleveland. Otherwise, I would have preferred to be somewhere else, but since they put me in Cleveland, I wanted to do my part. So God bless LeBron, the benevolent benefactor, right? For doing his part to maximize what he could in Cleveland before deciding to do what's best for his career. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, let me start off there. Tonight, yeah, I took that the same way, and that adds credence to my theory. Me, I think the NBA does collusion, and Cleveland was already tanking in order to have that position or whatever, in order to get LeBron, but it was pretty much, it made sense for them to try to juice up that market. So historically they weren't winning like that. So to have a up and coming superstar to be, the face of the league, in Cleveland, hometown thing. Yeah. So he mentioned that, Derrick Rose to Chicago. He mentioned somebody else, but
Patrick Ewing
to the Knicks. So the NBA does its thing, and there was so much collusion around that in order for the Knicks to get that pick. So yeah, the NBA does this thing for its, collusion. They do their thing because they're a narrative-based league, unfortunately. Then we get to the part where he's acting like he maximized what was going on. Now, mind you, this is the favorite argument for LeBronites.
It's one of the big ones.
Yeah, that he was, constantly year after year dragging a team full of scrubs to the finals. Now, I think everybody, especially if you were aware at that time, the East was traditionally weak, and honestly, it still is. But especially back then, the East was really weak when in terms of competition. LeBron is and let me say this: LeBron is a great athlete. He is good at basketball, but he's not what the league and the narrative that the league was spinning. He's not that character. He's just not. He just doesn't have certain factors within him that they're trying to make him the greatest of all time. He's just not that. He's just a really good basketball player. And so since he was a really good basketball player in a weak East, he was already in a pretty good position to be streamlined, at least playoffs bare minimum, and then see what you can do while you're in the playoffs. So his first couple years, whatever with the roster, but, they started getting guys. I'm not going to sit here and, whatever, but, Ilgauskas was no scrub, especially in the East. He was no scrub, hell, they had got Antoine Jameson. They had got other people. They were just, Mo Williams. They were just loading up on guys that could ball. And, they were showing Drew Gooden there like he sucked. Drew Gooden was good. I mean, he was decent. He was a good, glue guy.
He wasn't somebody who you would say got dragged. That's the
right.
point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Delonte West, as troubled as he was as a person, and allegedly smashing on his mom's. That guy could ball too, man. Delonte West was a hooper. So, and you got to put things in perspective. I think when people think that, oh, yeah, he was dragging a team full of losers, is this whole notion of super teams. Big threes, big fours. And that's another thing that he does. See, this is this guy. And him throwing in big four with Boston, it gives a more of an excuse of why you lost to Boston, because it's four guys. Oh, people want to. No, Rondo wasn't Rondo yet. He was balling. You know what I'm saying? And he was exceptional. And yes, he was like the glue or whatever, but it was a big 3-4. It was called a big 3 for a reason, because it was 3 Hall of Famers certified already when they got together. And it was just, Rondo was a rookie. And so he wasn't enough to be big, a part of the big conversation. But, here he goes. And of course, hindsight, people can go, oh yeah, Rondo was on that team. So it's clearly a big, this guy, he just does all of this talking just to make himself look like this otherworldly person. And if he's this otherworldly person, then he should drag a team full of scrubs to the finals, but he should also win. He should also not pass the ball in a because I was sitting there hoping that this guy would be good, but he would pass the ball in clutch moments. He would turn the ball over in clutch moments. He would miss big shots. So it was this thing where, like, year after year, it was like, you know what? I don't think this guy's got it. As talented as he is and all this other extra stuff, I don't think he has the factor. Last thing I'll say before I let you go, speaking on the factor, it was one of those sayings, man. If you play basketball, man, you don't have to play professional or whatever. You just hoop or whatever. And, if the game is tight and there's certain people that don't want the ball, and then, somebody will yell out, either that's playing or on the sidelines, and they'll say, he don't want it. And you can see the nervousness in that person, the way they dribble or whatever. They were dribbling normal the rest of the whole game. But when the game get tight and it's game point and people starting to lock up and play defense, this guy doesn't want the ball anymore. And that's LeBron. He shrinks in big moments. You're not 1 for your last 29. Oh, I'm sorry. He's 2 for his last 30. Since he got a point blank tip in, so they're gonna count that. But he was 1 for his last 29 on game winning or game tying shots. And you can't be the greatest basketball player of all time if you're missing those things. So that whole interview with Pat McAfee was a sharp show. I missed this portion of it. But for him to be throwing his teammates under the bus, throwing Cleveland under the bus like that, I just think to me, it exemplifies why people don't care for him as a person, because he's very, in my opinion, quite narcissistic and arrogant. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir LeBron? Around here saying that, hey, man, he had a team full of bums, basically. What are your thoughts, bro?
I think it proved to me what I already suspected about him, which is he reads his press clippings.
Yeah,
He knows he knows what his media narrative is, and he takes advantage of it. Now, to be fair to the conversation, I think most players today are well aware of what their media narratives are, and they base certain decisions with their careers off of their knowledge of their media narrative. And as you alluded in your opening statements, I think one of the biggest issues with the NBA is it of all of the major domestic sports, the NBA is the one that sort of traffics in narrative based commentary 24/7. The other professional leagues do it to a certain degree, but it's not nearly as much. Every single event or outcome or result in these other sports, there isn't automatically an immediate referendum on top 10, top 5, Mount Rushmore's, greatest ever, all of these weird things that they only do with the NBA. The NBA traffics in that stuff more than any other sport. And so, because of that, I think players have responded by orienting their careers around the knowledge of their media narratives. It's the reason why I believe Kevin Durant went to the Warriors personally. Now, I don't know if we'll ever learn this. I don't know if he'll ever admit this. I personally believe Kevin Durant went to the Warriors because he knew that one of the more corrosive aspects of NBA commentary is, oh, we're going to slot you down here because you didn't win this many championships.
Right.
And Kevin Durant is saying, well, I'm better than almost anybody who's ever played skill wise, but you're going to say that this guy's better than me because they won a championship or two. Oh, and so that he tried to reverse engineer the process.
Right.
So he said, let me go join a team that pretty much assures me a great chance to win so that they can't use that against me and slot people who I'm better than above me because they won and I didn't. So that was Kevin Durant reading his press clippings and saying, oh, I'm not going to allow this particular aspect of my media narrative to get the better of me. Now, obviously, he didn't foresee that it was going to blow up in his face. And essentially what people ended up doing was discrediting those because he was on a team that couldn't lose. He didn't really see that could be a possibility. He figured as long as he got the rings, people would shut up about other people being better than him because they won rings and he didn't. And clearly he underestimated the machine and its ability to kind of sift through that and say, oh yeah, you may have won, but you stacked the deck. So these are various case studies throughout modern NBA history in which we can look at players sort of detecting and following along with their media narratives and then making decisions in their careers based off of that. And in the case of LeBron, parroting a lot of the speech of his media narrative. He only feels comfortable saying that on McAfee because he is well aware that a lot of people in the media who are credible have already said that and have been saying it for a decade now. He didn't have enough help. This and this and this, and he didn't win because he had to drag these guys and they didn't show up for him. He knows that people say this stuff. So because he knows that people say this stuff, he feels emboldened. He doesn't feel uncomfortable to go onto a main stage like that and parrot that speech because no one's going to disagree with him. At least no one credible. The LeBron acolytes in the media, to which there are many who are credible, agree with those sentiments. Therefore, they're not going to chastise him for saying that. So he can just have free reign to say it without fear of any consequences. And it's total BS. And here's the thing that I'll say about it. If you look throughout the history of, I would say, modern NBA history, so basically from the late 70s until now, the vast majority of teams that win are teams that stack the deck. So the Celtics in the 80s stacked the deck. The Lakers in the 80s, they stacked the deck. The Bulls, obviously, in the 90s were stacking the deck. The 2 years that Jordan went out, Houston, they won back-to-back, but they stacked the deck. The Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, they stacked the deck. The NBA historically, in modern times, is teams that stack the deck are the teams that win. You know, even the Celtics with Garnett, Pierce, Rondo, Ray Allen, they stacked the deck. PJ Brown was on that team, he was still good at the time. They stacked the deck. The Lakers with Kobe and Gasol stacked deck. The Spurs every year they won stacked decks. So yes, in modern history, the NBA teams that win championships, they stack the deck. But the teams that didn't stack the deck but still made it far and lost didn't get the benefit of the no help card. And that's the thing that you have to pay attention to. So I bring up people like Allen Iverson in 2001. When they lost, no one gave him the he didn't have enough help card. Tracy McGrady was a great player who was on teams that was projected to go further than they did. There was that one team in Houston, I believe they were up 3-1, I think against the Mavericks, and ended up losing a 3-1 lead. And they were favored to go far, and they had a pretty good team, and McGrady was the driving force. Yao Ming, who just couldn't stay healthy by and large. That was supposed to be a thing, but Yao Ming was in and out of the lineup, always hurt with his bad feet. And they went up 3-1 one year in a series and ended up losing that series, right? They had a pretty good team comprehensively. And when they ended up losing, it was just Tracy McGrady didn't get it done. There wasn't this thing of he didn't have enough help. So even amidst the NBA's modern history of teams that stack the deck and win, when there are these spotlight moments of teams that advance but still lose, led by a team who's a great player, no one was saying that player didn't have enough help, despite everyone understanding that historically throughout the NBA in modern times, you win when you stack the deck. So if Iverson can't get the no help card and McGrady doesn't get the no help card, all of a sudden, why does LeBron get the no help card? And what led to me starting to resent LeBron as a player wasn't he himself, it was his media narrative.
Correct.
All of a sudden, he was getting the benefit of these ridiculous constructs that no other player, despite being in that same position, got the benefit of.
Correct.
And I'm trying to figure out when did we move the goalposts and create these new rules, and why do they apply to this guy and this guy alone? And you don't even have to go to just Allen Iverson. You don't have to go to just Iverson or McGrady. Look at James Harden. James Harden is a guy who personally I'm not the biggest fan of. But during his years in Houston, when he was scoring all of them points, racking up all of those numbers, getting MVPs, he was on teams where they won a lot of games in the regular season and were projected to go far in the playoffs. And then they would lose to the Warriors or the Spurs or somebody else. And when that happened, who was saying no one came to help James Harden? Who in the media was saying James Harden did all he could, he just didn't have enough help? No one was saying that. What everyone was saying was James Harden didn't get it done. James Harden didn't come through in high leverage moments in the playoffs. James Harden didn't get it done in the clutch. He's a regular season player. He is behind the all-time greatest list of two guards, behind Kobe and Wade and Jordan. That's what they said about James Harden. Ain't nobody say he didn't have enough help. So why do we have this rule change when it comes to this one guy in LeBron to sort of substantiate why he doesn't get it done? And that's why I came to resent him, because it doesn't make sense. It's almost as if the media preemptively shoehorn him into this place of all-time greatness.
Yes.
And then when he started messing it up, you had to come up with a rationale in order to explain why it was messed up. It couldn't be because he just didn't get it done. It had to be because he didn't have enough help.
Correct.
And that pissed me off because we didn't do that for Iverson. We didn't do that for McGrady. And even though I don't really like the guy, we didn't do that for people like James Harden, who was the driving force on his team when he was in Houston. James Harden was averaging 35 a game for a season. The season he won MVP, he averaged 35 a game. Nobody did that since Kobe. So it's that kind of weirdo stuff. And he's very well aware. He is keenly aware that is what they say about him. And so because he's keenly aware, he has essentially carte blanche to echo that speech now, especially because he's at this point been here for so long, you know, who's gonna say no, LeBron? That's not right. That ain't true. Who's gonna challenge him at this point? 20 years, 40 years, 40 years old? Ain't nobody gonna challenge that. So now he's actually starting to vocalize this stuff that the media has been giving him the benefit of the doubt for this entire time. And I think it's disgusting personally. But and this is why I root against his better interests year after year, because as a fan, it really doesn't matter what the outcome is. Because when he wins, it'll be because he's the greatest ever. And when he loses, it'll be because it's the coach, the teammates on the roster, or the GM or the owner messing it up for him. I can't wait to hear what people are going to say when they lose this year. Whose fault is it going to be? Luka? Is it going to be Luka's conditioning?
They're already blaming Luka.
It's gonna be Luka's conditioning. It's gonna be Austin Reeves isn't a good enough third option. It's gonna be JJ Redick was a first year coach and he wasn't ready for the big moment. These weird narrative stuff that these talking heads say, I can hear it now. It's gonna happen. So I'm just here. I got my popcorn ready and I'm waiting. But if you think for a second that LeBron is not aware of what these gas bags say about him in the media, you are sadly mistaken. And it's unfortunate because it diminishes the contribution that a lot of those players that did play with him, who did not get dragged, made towards that formula. And it's unfortunate. And if I was a teammate of LeBron's, I personally would be offended that I get grouped into this category of somebody that has to get dragged by him, because no one dragged me. I did my job. He passes the ball to me. I'm open. I make the shot. That's my job. He's not dragging me because I did my job. But this is why I never bought into the idea that LeBron is polarizing. For the vast majority of his career, he has benefited from a very pro-LeBron media. Do not give me Skip Bayless as your one example of somebody who wasn't on LeBron's side, because the vast majority of the mainstream, mainline media has been singing this tune for the last 20 years. And I have said it before and I will say it again. I am counting down the days until this guy retires.
Yeah, hey man, well said, bro. And but that's it's the same thing. Where I talked about Tim Tebow in the past. The media did the same thing with him when he played for Florida. He could do no wrong when he was in college. He could just do no wrong. Tom Brady, he can do no wrong. He can throw 3 interceptions. All of them were the receiver's fault.
Yes.
It was disgusting. And so those people are easy to dislike. But what makes it worse is when the athlete themselves play into it.
Yes.
And then they sit there and go, yeah, they're right. And it's like, hey, man, no man is perfect. You know, everybody's out there, you know, whatever. Jordan would openly admit, and not to compare him, but it's just whatever. I mean, but Jordan would, you know, openly admit and take accountability when he didn't show up or he didn't play the best game that he could, and, you know, whatever. He doesn't, you know, take that opportunity to throw everybody else under the bus, call everybody else scrubs and losers or bums. You know, the guy, he does this. He's done this historically. So when he made his decision and then came down to Miami, man, it was a mixed bag for me. I was excited because, you know, it was a whole sweepstakes thing going on. So I was excited because, oh, hey, we won. But then on the back end of that was like, well, here comes the circus. Here comes the circus. Here comes Wade getting blamed for stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't take long. It didn't take long at all. And you know, they started blaming Wade for stuff, for sure, blaming Bosch. They were just, you know, throwing blame. And hell, he was on you know, LeBron was on Mind the Game with JJ Redick sitting there talking about that the Heat wasn't a super team. The Heat. We couldn't do much with that roster. What are you talking about? You know, oh yeah, well, you know, I guess they were so top heavy that they had to, you know, round up a bunch of scrubs and losers, and you know, it was tough. And it's like, nah, man, there's an excuse everywhere you go. Just this for like this, LeBron fans. Which NBA finals did LeBron hit the big shots, do all the stuff. I mean, have the historical things. That comeback that they have on the Warriors. That was all Kyrie. Look, LeBron, he's good at doing what he does. He's a problem. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's not. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he gets things done. But excuse me, at the same time, while accomplishing his stats, it takes away from other people. He's still a bull in a china shop. He's a you have to account for him. But at the same time, his skills was never refined. People can say, oh yeah, he's got more of a post game now, and he's got more of this, and he's cleaned things up. But overall, he still bullies his way to the basket. He still commits offensive fouls on a regular basis. His defense historically, when he played for the Heat, he was hacking everybody. And this is as a Heat fan, and it was like, oh, great defense, LeBron. I was like, that was a foul. Just openly swiping, hitting the guy's arm, all kinds of stuff, no calls. It was gross, man. So this guy here, historically, he's never really been a good defender, especially now. His plus minus nowadays is an absolute joke. Oh, he's 40. Give me a break. Everything, and that's another thing. There's always these built-in excuses. Now he's 40. Whenever you give him criticism, oh, what do you expect him to do? Hey, man, this guy's still outrunning 20-year-olds. Okay, I don't know how he's doing that. Anybody wants to sit here and say, oh yeah, he's just that good, and it's like, nah, man, I don't think so. I honestly think that this guy, I feel as though the league allows this man to do whatever he wants when it comes to enhancements. Okay, because there's a clip out there, man, where Kevin Garnett has said it, man. He was like, man, I don't know what LeBron got. He on that new juice. He on something. Because I'm sorry, man. People's bodies started breaking down historically in their mid-30s. I mean, they're done by mid-30s. And this guy's still going. There's other guys that's still going right now, and I've got my eyebrow raised on them too. But when LeBron came into the league, the narrative started. Knew he was the cash cow, and like you said, they propped this guy up, and it's basically like a Ponzi scheme. And you can't admit that this guy can't show up on big moments, because if you do that, then your whole product collapses. And so they put everything on him. And so that's why he had to be the face of the league for 20 years. So, so the NBA, LeBron, the whole collusion, it takes away from actually trying to enjoy basketball. And the mere fact that this guy wants to sit here and play into the narratives, egg it on, and he genuinely believes it, it's disgusting. And last thing I'll say is, like you said, oh, who they're going to blame? Luka. They're already blaming Luka. They're saying, oh, Luka's defense. This is why the Mavericks gave him up, because he can't play defense, and he's this, he's that, he's out of shape. It's now he's out of shape. Before it was the steal of the century, guaranteed Hall of Famer, all this other stuff. And now, they lose a game here, lose a game there. Now it's Luka's fault. It's never LeBron's fault for literally throwing the ball to Josh Giddey. It's not LeBron's fault for having one of the most egregious turnovers in a high pressure situation. Austin Reeves was showing more gonads than this man. Austin Reeves wanted the ball. When Austin Reeves hit that go-ahead basket before Josh Giddey got the ball, there was a play where LeBron flared out, but he had the alligator arms. He didn't want the ball in that moment. He just didn't. Austin Reeves came up and got that ball. So when Austin Reeves has more of a clutch gene than LeClutch himself, it makes you wonder. It's like, how goated is this man if he doesn't want the ball in a regular season situation. So, yeah, man, I don't care. I don't buy the facade. This guy he's like an industry plant kind of guy. I mean, of course he's good, of course he's talented, but he gets the buy-in from the machine like an industry plant. And that's why I told you before, he is the Drake of the NBA. And so all of this theatrics, all of these aesthetics, but no heart, no real soul in his game. And to me, that's the part about it that it turns me off from all of this stuff. But hey, man, have at it. Him trying to drop F-bombs on Pat McAfee just adds to his tackiness. I'm just over it, man. I'll be really, like you said, man, I'll be really glad when he's out of the league.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, he's just gonna up the ante and get in the media somehow.
That's fine. I can deal with that. I don't want to deal with every year this constant obsession with the viability of his team's championship possibilities. That's what I'm tired of, because year after year it's the Lakers can do this and that, and it's really born out of the media's hyper obsession with having it universally regarded that he is the greatest of all time. And the only way that can happen is he continues to win, is if he wins more. So that desire, I believe, is what fuels this obsession with every team he plays for. And I'm tired of that. So even if he goes into the media and starts mediating up, I don't care. He'll just be away from playing. He'll be away from competing, and I don't have to deal with the machine of greatest of all time and more of these counting number compilations and all of this BS. It's his media narrative that makes me resent him, because I think that it is diametrically opposed to where he ought to be properly slotted. And that's not to suggest that he's supposed to be regarded as merely a great player or however you look at it. He's an all-time great, but there is a tone that is associated with his career that has been set in stone well before he actually started to become a truly great all-time player, and it has persisted over time, and it's just gotten to the point where it's annoying. And now he can feed in. Like I said before, he's keenly aware of it, just like most of these other players are keenly aware of what the gas bags say about him. And now he can just parrot the speech in public with no fear of any sort of reprehension. He can just do it because he knows the majority of the pro-LeBron media is only going to agree with everything he says. Like, I don't know. It's certain things I'll never get over. Like, I don't see how you can be in 2009. Cleveland was 66-16 in the regular season. Like, if you remember, that was the year that we were supposed to get Kobe and LeBron in the finals. It was the 2008-2009 season. Cleveland went 66-16 in the regular season. You cannot be a team in which one person drags a bunch of bums if you win 66 games in a regular season of 82 games. You don't have a roster full of bums if you're winning 66 games. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. No one player is so good that you single-handedly are winning 66 games in a season. That's absurd. So they won 66 games in the regular season, went 66-16, and what ended up happening? They matched up against the Magic in round 2, the semifinals. They didn't even get to the conference finals and lost. And they said LeBron didn't have help. So how can you be a prohibited favorite, but then when you lose, you don't have help? Those two things to me don't make sense. That's like putting chocolate in a mixture of ice cream, eating it, and then saying, I don't taste the chocolate. The chocolate is there. You put the ingredient in there. You can't be a prohibited favorite and then lose, and it's because you don't have help. You're either good enough to be a prohibited favorite or you're not. But because it's LeBron, they had to come up with these rationalizations. Oh, he didn't have enough help. They didn't come to help him out. Kobe did his job. The Lakers got to the finals that year. They just didn't play. They just didn't play Cleveland. They played the Magic because it was the Magic with Dwight and Rashard Lewis and Rayford Yeah, Rafer and Hito Turkoglu. That whooped that ass. I'm over this, bro. And then like in the 2014 finals, mind you, it was the same exact roster as the year before when they beat the Spurs. The same roster, except they added Rashard Lewis, but it was the same roster. And then the Spurs spanked us. The greatest margin of victory up to that point in the history of the finals was that year. The Spurs waxed the Heat. And LeBron is cramping on the baseline, can't even play in some of the games. They got to drag him off to the sidelines because he's cramping. They got to take him back to the locker room for fluids because he's cramping. And then we lose. And what do they say? He didn't have enough help.
Yeah.
Same guys the year before that we won. But now LeBron didn't have enough help. So yeah, you're damn right. I champion him losing every year because I've resented this the entire time this guy's been in the league. It's disgusting.
It's gross.
And I'll continue to resent it until he goes away. So for as long as he continues to play in the league, I am going to rail against this dude because I used to just blame the media narrative. Now I blame both him and the narrative because now he's doing goofy stuff like this.
Yeah,
because now he's even saying, "Oh, I didn't have help." So yeah, until he goes away, I'm gonna continue to beat on this drum. And to any of y'all LeBron fans who don't like it, go to somebody else's channel because you can kick rocks. I don't care. I can't wait until he retires because enough is enough. This stuff really has to stop.
Have you heard those LeBron love songs, bro?
I refuse to listen to them.
These guys are making LeBron R&B songs where they're lusting over him, literally, and it honestly crystallizes LeBron fans. And so, of course, I heard one begrudgingly as I'm sitting there listening to it. It makes, when you're talking about the majority of LeBron fans, like I said, they're in this bubble of fandom where they are literally fanatics. So there's really no arguing with them. There's really no debating with them. Everything you say that is it's like a religion, bro. It's a cult.
Yeah.
And so whenever you try to give them truth, facts, try to steer them in the direction, try to help them look at things objectively, they call you a heretic. And they call you a heretic. Try to splash you with Diddy oil.
Yeah, they want to burn you at the stake.
Yeah, man. So, hey, man, ain't no party like a diddler party, as LeBron said. So, hey, man, have at it, you guys. You guys seem to love all that oil. And yeah, man. But yeah, I can't stand the narratives either, man. So
it's ridiculous, man. I cannot wait until this guy retires. I cannot wait. Because they'll still be saying what he is, but at least I'm not gonna have to deal with it from season to season with him being an active player. I really cannot wait. I can't wait.
Lord have mercy.
Go away, bro. I'm tired. I'm tired of this guy, man.
Sheesh.